Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Apologies for being missing. For those of you that don't know, I've been in hospital with pneumonia and I've had a few days at home now recouping. So I thought I'd give myself a little go at creating a card just to try and get back to some normality. Now I'll be a little bit slower. My brain's a little bit frazzled after being in hospital, so I may say some silly things or I may not be quite with it, but I was so eager to say hello to you all and just to say a huge thank you to everybody who sent me cards, little gifts, get well wishes. You're all wonderful and I can't tell you how much it means. When you're in hospital on your own and you're a little bit frightened of what's happening, it's so lovely just to hear from you. So thank you all so much. It really does mean the world. So I'm going to start back very basically. It's nothing too complicated, just a nice simple process, and I will be a little bit slower, but there you go. I'm using a piece of Pink Frog smooth card, which is 4 inches by 6 inches. I've then got a black mat, which is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I've got these sizes because they were already cut. I'm a cheat. And then I've got a card blank, 5 by 7, just so you can see that. I'm just going to put my little fan on that's very quiet. There we go. So it doesn't make too much noise, hopefully, because it's a nice quiet one. There we go. And what I'm going to do is work on the 4 by 6 inch piece of card. Now my desk is an absolute tip because I literally haven't tidied it from 10 days ago. Right, so let's just take out our gel press, which mine is very well used. And a lot of the manufacturer recommends that you keep it between a piece of copier paper. I've kept mine between acetate for over a decade and it's been fine, but it is recommended that if you've got a new gel press, you know, sometimes it beads up depending which product you use. If you put a piece of copier paper on there and leave it on there overnight, that will help some of the beading. So let's have a look at some of the colours that we've got. So I've got speckled egg. I didn't want broken china. Why did I pick that up? See, this is what I tell you. Not quite with it, but there you go. It was salty ocean I wanted because it's just a little bit brighter blue. So we've got speckled egg, salty ocean, peacock feathers, shaded lilac and wilted violet. And we're going to use our gel press. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the speckled egg on there first. Now this is a very light colour, so I'm just literally going to press this one completely on the gel press. Now the advantage of the card being, excuse me, I do apologise, just sometimes I lose my breath a little bit, just ignore that. So we're adding the speckled egg to the gel press. Now with the card being 4 by 6, it's quite nice because it means I can press it on that gel press and the whole card will be covered. So we've got the speckled egg on there. Now I nearly forgot, I can tell my brain cells are not working quite as well as they should. So I've got the speckled egg on there. I don't need to worry, there's no rush. I'm going to take some low-tack tape and I'm just going to place that just across. I'll lift this up just so that you can see what sort of kind of gap I'm leaving. We don't do measurements, or Tracy doesn't. Oh, I've knocked my little potato off. Look at my little potato that Patricia got me. Very cute. It's got little hearts as eyes. I knocked my little potato off. Right, place you there. Right, so I've just added the piece of low-tack tape, so I've sort of got that much gap at the bottom and a bigger gap at the top. It really doesn't matter. It's just hit and miss. So we've added the speckled egg because that's a light colour. We've dabbed that on with our direct with our ink pad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a spare piece of card just on one side, just to braille off any ink. And I've got my brayer that I use for my inks. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take the peacock feathers, but this time I'm going to apply it with my brayer. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I can lightly just flick the colour on there, and what I won't do is lift too much of the speckled egg. So let's just then apply this colour to our spare piece of card, which is 3.5 by 7 inches, because that's what I'd got in my drawer. But can you see I've got a nice bit of colour on there? So that was the peacock feathers. So now let's add a little bit of the salty ocean. Trying to keep everything in camera. So take a little bit of that salty ocean. Now I know from my ink pads that the salty ocean is quite a deep rich colour. So you can see I've just placed it on there, sort of patchy. And I'm just going to just add some of that on there and then take off the excess just onto another piece of card, and you're just making another beautiful background. I'm then going to take shaded lilac. Now there's quite a little, that makes no sense. There's quite a lot of that salty ocean ink on there. So I'm just going to braille a little bit more onto that card. And then I'm going to pick up the shaded lilac. Now again, I know my ink pads quite well. So the shaded lilac is quite a pale colour. So I'm just making sure that I add a little bit more. Again, just braying off the excess. Now, wilted violet is quite a strong colour, so we don't want it to overpower everything. So pick up a little bit of that colour, just place that upwards like that. If you place your, what's this called, brayer, up like that, you won't get any marks on your rubber of the brayer. So there's a lot of ink on there, and I don't want to overpower it with that purple. Look how much of that purple is on there. So you want to make sure you've got some of the other colours. But now I've got a beautiful background. So let's move this piece of card out of the way just for now. And then we just need our little fan brush. Now, if you've got a little jar or anything like that, you can put the water in. That's great. I'm just going to use my non-stick craft sheet, and I'm going to pick up the water, and I'm just going to dab that onto my gel press. Just dab the water onto that gel press, and the oxides react beautifully with the water, which is what we like. Now we can just leave that on one side. What we do is we bring in a little bit more water, and the background that we've created here that you now can't see, let me just redo that. Let's just place this here, place the water here, and now what I can do, I can just add some splatters of water with that fan brush just to this background, and it means that we've created a two for one. I love a two-for, where you get two backgrounds for the price of one. I've got the worst kitchen roll on the planet. It is so thin and breaks at the slightest thing. Now, I'm not going to dab that. I'm going to allow that to do its thing, and that will create a lovely background for us. So let's just leave that on one side. I'm going to keep saying that. Let's just leave that on one side. Right. Let's bring this in. And I love how I don't have to rush. So I've now got my card that's got the piece of low tack tape across the bottom. So I'm going to just place my card just on that gel press. And really, you don't have to worry about what you get. What you get is what you get. It's a background. It's nice and random, and it doesn't really matter. Well, I don't think it does anyway. there we go. We've got a beautiful, beautiful background. Now, of course, I've got this ink on here. So why don't we just spritz a little bit more water, take our fan brush again, and let's just add a little bit more water. Just mop up the excess. And then I've got another piece of card here. And let's see if we can pick anything else up and get 3 for 1. Even better. And yes, we can. So we can still dab the edges just to get a little bit more of that background. And now we've got 3 for 1. So this is your background, just the whatever's left on there. And this is the one where we braid off the excess ink. So let's just check. There's definitely no more ink on there. So we'll just add a few more splatters of water. You know, being creative, I don't care what anybody says, it's so good for you. It just takes you out of yourself, I think. Right, so we've got a little bit of water on there. Shall we see if there's any more ink? Let me just... So we've now got the water on there, and I think that's our background done. So let's place that on one side. So you've now got these backgrounds that you can see here. Just love them. Now let's place those on one side. I love how that's reacted, and I've let that do its own thing. So what we're going to do, she says, normally when I come home there's no wipes left because everybody's taken them in the house. So just so you can see what we've got, let's wipe that piece of low tack tape. Mainly because it's just, all you can see is the colour on the low tack tape, and you can't actually see what we've got. So what we've got now, let's just dab that with a piece of kitchen roll. So now what you've got is, you've got this open space here, which is lovely. We can put our wording or whatever in there. Just tilting it on one side, because sometimes I can stamp a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my... Finding the packaging to anything is just impossible. Oh, it's here. I'm going to take my Auricula stamp, TE2. We're going to use that one. Now it's just deciding what I want to stamp in. It depends if you want no line colouring or whatever. Do I want no line colouring? Let's have some no line colouring. There we go. So because I want to use some no line colouring, I'm going to use the new colour Sand Dune Versafine Clair. So I'm going to use that. And hopefully that will show up enough just on my artwork, because there's colour on the background. So just give that a good inking, like I would if I was using the black. I'm just using the Sand Dune, because then I can get that no line colouring. So we'll sort of place the first one in the middle-ish. There we go. Doesn't have to be exact. So obviously when I stamp onto this low tack tape, that won't take, because that'll leave us our opening for our gap. I'm sure you know what I mean. When I peel that away, there'll be a lovely gap there. And because the colour's a little bit lighter and I'm going on to a little bit of a darker colour, I'm just giving that a few seconds. Just to grab hold of there. There we go. And there we go. Let me lift this up for you. So can you see? We've just got that low. So when this peels away, so if we grab our, no, that's the dry one, Tracy. If we grab our wipe, take whatever's on the low tack tape off, you can see what we've got. Let's just give that a little bit of a dry. You can see then you've got the floral a little bit at the bottom and a little bit at the top. Just lovely. Right. So what we can do now is if I take a little bit of a mask, which I've got here, and place that over my floral, which takes me forever to find, like so. So I've got my mask over my floral, and then we'll take the sand dune again. If you'd like the sand dune, I have got that in my shop. So we're just going to again give a really good inking, just like you would with any stamp. You always know that I give a really good inking. And then it doesn't have to be, you know, the exact same position. So let's add that one there. So just allow that just to give it time to absorb onto the card, because you've got that darkish purple colour on there, and you just want to give that time just to absorb onto that card. Now you've got that mask on there, so this will appear behind the first stamped image. And don't worry if you miss a bit, just draw it back in again. We all miss bits every now and then, so don't worry about that. I've turned that fan off and I'm too warm, so we'll turn it back on again. So then, with the mask still in place, like so, let's ink again. Oh, it's so wonderful to have a little bit of normality. Right. And I'm not overdoing it, for those of you that said to me, you know, I need to relax. Honestly, I'm not overdoing it. I'm doing nothing all day. So this is like a little treat. The only thing I need to do is do something with my hair. I haven't had the energy to do my hair. Now, I wouldn't show my face and frighten you all, but my hair's a disaster. Right. So now let's have this one sort of, it'll take me ages just to decide where to put it, because that's me all over. And I've just got my card on one side because you can see what I'm doing, and it's just at the right angle for me. So just allow that to absorb onto there. There we go. There we go. Just give that a nice even pressure. There we go. I'll hold this up for you so that you can see. Let's remove that mask. Let's wipe this so that you can't, that doesn't play with your eyes too much. Let's just, this is only the low tack tape that I'm wiping, just so that you can see what we've got. Let's just give that a dab. Let me lift this up for you. You can see we've got the floral now, top part at the bottom. So we're going to give that a little bit more definition. I love these backgrounds that we've got as extra as well. Right, let me see if I've got any purples on my desk. Because, well, that's a mulberry, isn't it? What have we got? That's a red. Let's grab my colours. Now, this is not going to be a quick video because Tracy's a little bit slow at the moment, but you can fast forward over the waffle should you wish. Right, so I just fancy some purples. So we'll have that as the light colour. What colour are you? Mulberry. We'll have a look at that. I think I've left some colours downstairs, which is not good, but it doesn't matter, does it? We can have a look at what we've got here. I've left some colours downstairs because I've been doing some armchair crafting, and like you do, I've got product everywhere. So first of all, that's lovely. That can be my light colour. That's lovely. That can be my dark colour. Yes, that can be my mid colour. So did we bring, oh, we did bring the sharpener up. That's one good thing. So let's give these a little bit of a sharpen. So I've got things downstairs, upstairs, just everywhere. I don't know about you, but I find that quite an accomplishment when I have a long piece of shavings. I know I'm a bit strange, but my pencil just broke then, so I need to sharpen again. There we go. I like a nice sharp pencil. That's better. So that's my mid colour, and then we want our dark colour. There we go. So you use whatever colouring mediums you like to use. So I've got dark, medium, light. So I'm using violet PC932. These are Prismacolor. I'm using mulberry PC995. And then I'm using lilac PC956. And of course the phone rings. Just as you're recording a video. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the dark area first. And just to remind you of that colour, it's violet, PC932. So I can see where my lines are, just to add the violet. So I'm just adding that just around the edges, and I can feel where the edge of the low tack tape is, so I'm not pressing very hard. You don't want to go in too hard too soon, and I can add a little bit of definition with more layers, but just take your time. Don't be in too much of a rush just to add the detail. So I've got some just around the edges here. So I'm just adding a little bit. Sometimes I just have to lift the card a little bit just so I can see the detail of the stamp, just because I've stamped in that light colour and it's a little bit harder to see. So I'm just lifting it slightly just so I can see where I've got that darker colour. And if you can't see, just add a little bit of a darker edge with your pencil. If you're struggling to see, just add in a little bit of the detail with your darker pencil, which we'll be doing anyway, just to go round the edges, but just so that you can, it just gives that no line colouring that I am really fond of. So you're just adding a little bit of that sort of darker colour, just a little bit around the edges, and then you're sort of coming into the centre area here and just adding a little bit more of that colour, and then you're sort of just going around the edge. And it's wonderful because then that sand dune colour disappears into the background for that no line colouring, so it works really nicely. So you've just got your first layer of colour, which is your violet. I'll take my mid colour, which is my mulberry, and if you hold your pencil higher up, you'll just place less pressure onto your floral. So just add light pressure. And if like me, you're not a colourist, you like to colour, but you like a good result, just take it in nice, simple steps. So all I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit of that mulberry. I'm keeping my fingers high up on that pencil, just so that I don't add too much pressure. And what I'm doing is, with this mid colour, I'm coming in to the dark colour. But you're not getting any definition because you're just layering that first layer of colour. And it will start to come to life, but not with your first layer. So you can see I'm just adding very light layers, and I'm coming in to that darker colour. So at that moment you've got no definition, no blend, but you're just layering your first layer of colour. So I'm then going to come in with my lightest colour, which is lilac, PC956, and I come in to the second colour. And again, I'm holding my pencil quite high up, just so that I apply a very light layer of that colour. And you'll see, as we add more layers of colour and we fill in those white open areas of the card, you'll start to see that you get more of a blend, and it's just wonderful. And I'm just using a circular motion just so that it alleviates any lines. There we go. And what we do now is we go back to our dark colour, which is PC932. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a little bit more detail, and I may just add a few sort of lines as well. So I'm just coming in just with a little bit more of that colour, which I can't remember, was it violet? PC932. So what I'm coming in now is I'm pressing a little bit harder, not too hard to break down the card too much. So I don't know why I started with this one instead of that one. Told you I haven't got any brain cells at the moment. So just bring in a little bit more, bring in a few of these lines as well. Just bring in and I can still feel the edge of that low tack tape. So I can just feel the edge of that, and just bring in a few of those lines, that darker colour, and you can still see I'm using that circular motion just to and again just bring in some of those lines, and as you bring in a little bit more detail, a little bit more of the layers of colour, it starts to take on more definition and a smoother feel as you sort of fill in the layers of the card. Now, I'm no professional colourist. What I do is I just do what makes me happy and what I'm happy with. I don't put too much pressure on myself. So let's just add a little bit of those lines in, which we can also go back in over and over again. I'm just adding a little bit more of that circular motion, and you can see it's taking on a little bit more depth. Don't ask me where 31 minutes has gone. So then I'll go to my next colour, which is my mid colour, which is Mulberry PC 995. Then I'll come in and I go in to that darker colour just to blend the lines of that darker colour, and it starts to take on again a smoother feel. But again, I'm not sort of pressing too hard. I'm using that circular motion just to go in to that darker colour. You can also bring in some of the lines if you wish to the centre area. So let's go in again, come into that darker colour just to blend the edges of the darker colour. And I do love the Prismacolors, how they blend beautifully, they're nice and smooth. So just come in to that darker colour and just sort of blend the edges. Of the darker colour. There we go. I always keep the pencils in order. Let's just add a little bit of darkness there. There's always one little area I miss. I do it every time. So then I'm going to go to my lightest colour, which is the lilac. And obviously, when you see me colour, if you've seen me colour before, you can easily fast forward this. So what I'm doing now is blending the other two colours with the lightest colour. And it starts to take on a smoother feel. The flower has more definition, which is lovely. smoother feel. But again, not putting all my pressure onto that card, and it becomes smoother because you fill in the gaps that are in the card, so it has a smoother feel. So just so you can see, you're now blending the colour a little bit more. So just I always forget the little tiny areas. I'm good like that. And the no line colouring sort of gives the floral a little bit of a different look. So still keeping those in order again. Don't have I got my white one here? Let me just check I've got my white pencil. Where's my little white one? Oh, it's there right in front of me. We'll have that later. So go back to our real dark colour, which is the violet, PC932, and now I'm going to add my last layer of colour of this dark. So I'm just adding the last layer now. So I'm just going in, pressing a little bit more, not so that I break the card down, so that, but just pressing a little bit more. There we go. So just adding that darkest colour. It doesn't matter which dark colour you've chosen. I just like to have a dark, a mid and a light. So, you know, if you've chosen blues, that's absolutely fine. We haven't added lines to all of them, which we should really. And you get so engrossed in the colouring, you can sometimes forget to speak, which is really good when you're doing a video, not. So just adding in a little bit more definition now, just giving that a little bit more definition. And I love simple methods. I don't like anything too complicated. So we go to the mid colour, which is the mulberry, and we'll just go in to that darker colour and just blend the lines of the darker colour. Okay, just blend those lines of that darker colour. And you can see before your eyes how everything just smooths out. Now, if you press too hard too soon, that won't allow you to layer your colour, because you've pressed too hard too soon and you can't build up those layers of colour. Let's just add a little bit of dark there, just so it's got a little bit more definition. Keep them in the same order, then we don't get in a mess. So just going in and blending the edges of that darker colour. And you really do see it come to life before your eyes. So then we'll go to our lightest colour, which is the lilac, PC 956. So then I come into that mid colour and just blend those lines out a little bit more. Give those a nice blend. And you can see I've left a little bit of the edge of the floral because I'll probably go in with my white pencil and just blend a little bit more. So you're sort of blending that second colour. So you're coming in with your lightest colour into your second colour and just blending that and smoothing that out. So what I like to do as well, I like to come in with the white and just blend the edges of the final colour, which is that light lilac colour, and just blend the edges out, just so that those edges are smoothed out as well. So it sort of picks up that lilac colour, makes it a lighter shade towards the edges, so you get that sort of ombre effect. So just smoothing out. I will pick this up so that you can see. Just using that white just to smooth out the edges of that lilac. So you can see it picks up a little bit of the colour and then blends that out. So what were you just going to do? Oh, so we're just going to add a little bit just to the edge there, just where the centre is. And then what I'm going to do is grab my bag again, place it straight on your card like you do, and then we're going to get this black here. Maybe I should try picking my pencils up from every room in the house and start putting them back in my container. So this is black, PC 935. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of detail. And you can see that I can still add a little bit of that black, just to give a little bit more detail to the floral without it being overpowering. Because I've not pressed too hard, so it still allows me just to place some of that detail just in to the floral, which is lovely. So just add in a few of those lines. Let's stand up and lift this up just so that you can see that. It allows me, and when I use the white, what it does is it sort of smooths out the last remaining colour that is on there. But this is going to be hard. There you go. You can see it picks up a little, let me see if it can focus on this, a little bit of that lilac colour, and then blends that out into sort of a tone of the last colour. So now we can remove our low tack tape, sort of pull it gently away from you like this, like so. There we go. Just be gentle the way you pull that out. And we've just got that in the middle. Just lovely. So then I'm going to just take the Auricula stamp again that's got the word Auricula on there. I really must tidy up a bit. So we'll take that Auricula. I'll take my black ink. Make sure it doesn't fall off before I go to the card. And then just add, I'm not pressing, I'm just allowing it just to sort of sit on there. You don't need to press too hard, just lovely. So I've then got that Auricula on there, which is really lovely. And then what I can do, on the Auricula stamp, it says, often displayed in individual pots on shelves. So we'll take my Morning Mist. I've always got this colour in the shop because it's just one of my favourites. Morning Mist. Take that Morning Mist. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the text. I love adding a little bit of text. For me, it just makes it look a little bit more like a botanical. Maybe that's me and think, you know, what I've got used to. But I just love, I'll lift this up and show you. But I just love adding a little bit of text. It just really adds to the design, I feel. Oh, I just love it. I could add text to everything. And let's add a little bit here. But if I lift this up, I just feel like that adds, makes it look more botanical somehow. That's me all over. So what we'll do then is we'll grab this stamp. I'm still getting used to the names, which is the Shadowed Elements TE12. And it's got that little birdie on there. Put some of your stamps back, Tracy. It's got that little birdie on there, which I cut mine out because it just makes it a little bit easier. And then we'll just add a little bit of black ink on there. And we'll just add that there. Takes me ages to decide where to add the little bird. But I do love adding the little bird. And then I forget to put it back and then wonder where it is. So you've got the little auricula and you've got the little bird standing on the A. Now we need to add some touches of white. Let's see, now really you've got that waxy pencil on there, which it's not easy adding it to the waxy pencil and it needs to rest a long time. So I'm just seeing if I've got a fine pen that I could, paintbrush that I could do it with a paintbrush. I really need to get myself some really fine paintbrushes. But if you let the ink dry, what did I just practice on? It just works better. What I'm asking it to do now is add white touches. And I haven't let the card settle. And this is going onto a waxy base, which is also not easy. I like to let the card rest before I add my touches of white. And what happens is, with your gel pen, it picks up some of the waxy debris from the pencils. So you just have to clear that a little bit. But I just feel a few little delicate white markings. For me, they really do add. But you will find a huge difference if you let your card rest for half an hour. You'll find that it's a little bit easier to just add those touches of white. But just remember, you will pick up some of that waxy debris. So just keep clearing your nib of your gel pen. But if you let the card rest, the fibres just sort of relax on the card. So it's much easier to add those white touches. Let's add some white splatters. Now you can put a piece of card over your wording if you wish, to make sure you don't catch that wording. There we go. I don't need too many splatters to overpower everything. Let's just give a little bit of a clean. I feel like I haven't done a splatter for ages. Now it's up to you if you want to add a dark edge to this. You don't have to, but if you add, so this is my Inktense pencil. Nobody tries to add Inktense pencil when they've got splatters still wet. But if you add a little bit of the Inktense pencil just to the edge. Again, those splatters are wet. So before I add any moisture, we'll let that dry a few seconds. And what we'll do is we'll add this to our black mat, which then it really does pop against the black mat. So let's just add that. I always add some adhesive to the centre, mainly because you know sometimes you get that where you've got like an air pocket. It just sort of stops that if I add some adhesive to the centre. I also like a bit of movement to that adhesive, just in case I don't get it in the right place. Doesn't it look lovely with the black mat? And then if we add that to a 5 by 7 inch card, that really sort of sets that off. Let's just add that. There we go. So we've got a little bit of a bigger gap when we put it on the card blank. But I love that because it just sets it off, especially if you get it straight. And that's why I like an adhesive that will allow me just to move for a few seconds, just so that I can get that nicely. Let's make sure we do that adhesive and put the lid on. So let's grab my non-existent water brush. Let's see what colour's on there. Oh, wow. There's no colour on there. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit just to the edge. And I'm sort of just touching the edge, and then I'll just put my hand in the water, which is, I'm good like that. Just blend that out. So I keep putting my hand in that water there. Okay, let's turn the card over. Just add, let's pick up a little bit more water. So you're not overpowering it with that Inktense pencil. You're just adding a little bit. There we go. Try and remember to put some things back. Let me just lift this up. And then you can see we've just got our lovely card. And if you want to add a few more white splatters, that's entirely up to you. But I'm really pleased with that. So I hope you enjoyed the process. You've got 2 little backgrounds extra that I hope you will use. And I look forward to seeing your interpretation. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.